Hello, how's it going? Thank you for stopping by yet again. Another edition of the Massachusetts Beer Reviews channel of YouTube. I am Thomas Meadow 75, and this is your Massachusetts Beer Reviews. Stout night, it seems. It's June 27th, 2017. It's Stout night. Who thought that was going to happen? Not me. Excuse me. This is Shipyard's Chocolate Milk Stout that we reviewed earlier. Gave it an 86 out of 100. Okay, not the greatest thing. Poland Spring. Some of that in between. Clean the palate. Not get too crazy here. Rinsed it in this glass and drank some of it from there. Sorry. And now we have an aged beer. Why aged am I drinking right now? Because I am running out of beer in the fridge. This one is from the Mayflower Brewing Company in Plymouth, Massachusetts. It is a limited edition beer. It is called Standish Stout. Imperial Stout. Miles Standish. That's what it's named after. English explorer settler. Here's to Miles Standish. Here's kind of where we're going with on this one. I'll read that in a second. This one was I got it in a 4-pack when it came out. This one was brewed in May of 2015. They packaged it on September 2015. It was only limited to about 100 barrels as far as they brewed it. It is 70 IBUs and 9% alcohol by volume. They give the body, finish, aroma, and color, which is black color, but I will leave everything else up to the beer review itself. They say, here's to Miles Standish. They have a quote from Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, which says, quote, "Short of stature he was, but strongly built and athletic, broad in the shoulders, deep-chested, with muscles and sinews of iron." That must be Miles Standish there. Taste the history. Mayflower Brewing Company, Plymouth, Mass. From their Cooper's series of beer. So, Shipyard to Mayflower, kind of a stout ship theme. And it's got one of the coolest bottle caps that I've seen in a long time. With the ship right there on it. Kind of cool. So, again, Teku glass. I don't think it's going to generate a giant head, but... Woo! Uh-oh. Man down. I guess it might generate a slight bit of head. Let me clean that up slightly. Wounded warrior there. Okay. Then I'll clean the tile in my basement. Alright, it's a little messy there, but it's alright. So, here is the look on the Mayflower Standish Imperial Stout. The look. I did generate a nice head for an Imperial Stout there. A little bit down there on the rim of the glass. A little more ruby red than I remember or was expecting for an Imperial Stout. Some popping and fizzing definitely in there for sure. It looks like it's going to hold some great lacing, and it's got that tan khaki head that you expect from a Imperial Stout, so, or a good stout. So let's get a nose on the Standish Imperial Stout from Mayflower Brewing Company, Plymouth, Mass. Good smelling Imperial Stout. Not barrel aged in any fashion, but some of the notes that I'm getting here are Dark fruit notes, raisins and cherries, for sure. I actually am getting some coconut and vanilla, which can kind of be a barrel-aged thing, but it doesn't smell as woody or like any kind of other liquors. Dark roasted malts. Molasses, deep, sugary notes, but not anything too over the top. So, and some darker chocolate notes. So, and even some black coffee, some roasted black coffee, almost like French, somewhere between French and Italian. Not too overly roasted, not heavy espresso. So it's smelling really good, and this is the last one from the 4-pack after I had bought it, so it's coming out from 55 to around 60 degrees, somewhere in between that, degrees Fahrenheit from my beer cellar. So let's see how it's tasting now. It is June 2017. This was brewed May 2015 and finally packaged in September of 2015. Cheers. Mayflower Standish Imperial Stout. Ooh, this is a really great example of the bottle. Now that it's had a little bit of time to age there. I'm liking that a lot, actually. More so than probably whatever I put it on Beer Advocate and rated it as. I think I'm liking it better than that. I know I'm liking it better than any other time I've drank in this. Or, yeah, I've had it. So what am I getting? I'm getting a full-bodied beer on the light side of full. A little bit of crispness. A little bit of a cleaning sensation. Not too much because it is an Imperial Stout here. Not supposed to be refreshing. The notes that I get are big, dark fruit quality notes of raisins and cherries. Yep. You can tell it's 9%. You can tell it's an Imperial Stout for sure. Does it have a big and overly big and boozy feel to it? Absolutely not. At this particular moment in time. There is a sugary sweetness there, but again, it's great for the style. It's right there on the money for the style. Some light vanilla notes, definitely coconut, like I said, in the nose. Again, definitely between French and Italian roasted notes, not espresso in any way. It's not the biggest body for an Imperial Stout, so if for some reason you ever find yourself in a position to try 2015 Standish Imperial Stout from Mayflower, and you like big Imperial Stouts with big, bold flavors and big boozy notes, at least 2 years later, almost, after packaging, it's not that kind of a beer. It's an easy-going Imperial Stout that, for me personally, smooths out over time. When I first had it, it was a little bit more, I don't want to say harsh, but it was more of a harsh beer in its alcohol department. Even at being 9%, it's sort of, I don't want to say a wussy Imperial Stout, but it's a lighter Imperial beer just overall. Definitely a nice carbonation zing, even almost 2 years later. A light, oily, sticky mouthfeel, very light. It will eventually coat the back of your throat with the 9%. Eventually it will do that. And I say it's pretty clean in the finish because, number one, it kind of is, but in looking at it in context, It's definitely cleaner than most Imperial Stouts because you do get left with a dark fruit, sugary sweetness towards the end, but you're not left with it for very long. It might be maybe 10 seconds, which to me is a pretty good finish for a beer like this. It's definitely, like I said, it's full-bodied on the light side, and after you take the sip and you wait for the finish to end, it definitely seems like it starts to thin out in the mouthfeel. So, for it being an easy drinking Imperial Stout, there's no question that it is. But it still retains some of the 9%. It's not hidden. You can tell it's there. You can tell it's a bigger, bolder beer. But there's nothing to me 2 years later, practically, that screams like it's hot heat in the alcohol or that it burns. So, how am I going to rate this today as a beer? Chocolate Milk Stout we did this evening got a 86. And, as Jay Terrio from Louisiana Beer Reviews would say, we're all, how did he put it here? He said something like, actually, my buddy Dave Rumbell that does some of the beer reviews with me, he does the nachos. He said, we filmed a little 15-second clip for him and put it to our beer chat on Facebook, and he basically said, he's drinking A beers and while he's a B+ beer reviewer. Oh no, but I'm gonna have to give it another B+. I give a lot of B+ because unless it's really, really, really knocking off my socks, it's not gonna get that A style rating. And it's a great beer. Don't get me wrong. I have no problem giving this one an 88. At the time, right now, I think it's a much better beer than during the first 3 bottles of its lifetime since I've had it. I just think that, these days when it says Imperial, and especially when it's an Imperial Stout, it better blow the friggin' socks off of you. And this one is just not big enough and bold enough. But I appreciate when an Imperial Stout does the baseline things that it does, and it becomes very, very approachable, and it's not a scary 9% beer, and it's not a scary drinking experience. So I've been rambling for 13 minutes now. Okay, so drink in moderation, drink a Poland Spring in between, clean up your beer mess. I will do that in a second. So I'm going to give the Standish, there it is, Imperial Stout from Mayflower Brewing in Plymouth, Mass, a 88. Pretty nice beer, not the biggest Imperial Stout, but it's pretty nice. Yeah. So, until next time, keep tasting those great beers. Cheers. See you soon.